All right. Our next guest is going to be uh, Jose Luis Pacheco, CalPERS Board of Administration. Jose Luis Pacheco brings his IT expertise from San Jose Evergreen Community College District to his first term on the CalPERS Board of Administration. His leadership extends to serving as past president of California School Employees Association, Chapter 363, and former delegate for the South Bay Labor Council, a labor person. Active in his community, Jose Luis serves on the board of Santa Clara County Federal Credit Union and Latinas Contra Cancer, supporting breast cancer awareness in the Latina community. His diverse education includes bachelor's in economics from Santa Clara University, bachelor's in biological sciences from CSU East Bay, advanced accounting certificate from Santa Clara University, alternative investment certificate from Harvard Business School, and without further ado, I give you the highly educated, well expert in the field that he's in, a labor advocate, none other than Jose Luis Pacheco.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Duda, for allowing me the opportunity to be here and the privilege to be here. And that's a very, very kind introduction. I am pleased to be on the agenda with such esteemed speakers today, from Dr. Ramos to Dr. Camaros to all the individuals that have been here. I'd like to start by acknowledging the importance of the National Disability Employment Awareness Month and the work that you all do as part of this council to advocate for people with disabilities in the state workforce. As a result, people like me have the opportunities to participate fully in the workforce and to contribute to the public sector work that we all feel so strongly about. Mr. Dudra and I we talked about that when I saw him at the CalPERS Diversity and Inclusion Day this past summer. He was one of many, many exhibitors there representing this group and the Association of California State Employees with Disability. And that conversation led to the invitation to speak with you all today and to share my own personal story in more detail. You know, as a kid, I didn't know that I had a disability, but I knew that I was really, really different. I struggled to read. I struggled to speak. I even struggled to make complete sentences. And I was also very, very shy. And actually, a tutor recognized this. A teacher in my elementary school, Freedom School, recognized this and assigned a school tutor to come to my house and to help me learn to speak and to form complete sentences. And I could not form a complete sentences until I was 7 years old. And that was the first time that I was able to do that. And for me, school became a safe haven, a safe place where I could talk to my other classmates, talk to teachers, and to learn. And I received so much special help with reading and was given skills to help me learn. However, I felt this difference. And regardless, I was so eager to learn. Even though I couldn't read very well, I was able to infer from a lot of pictures. And I can tell you a book that I read, what I actually read. I couldn't really read it. I looked at all the pictures, and it was a book of King Tut from Howard Carter, who was the archaeologist who discovered King Tut in the 1920s in the Valley of the Kings. And I looked at this book and I just was mesmerized of all the art and all the beauty of that era of the Egyptian period. And that kind of pivoted me to learn and learn more. And in high school, you know, I received a lot of homework. In fact, my father would drop me off at high school at 7 o'clock in the morning so I could engage with teachers and so forth. And 7 o'clock to learn and learn more. I even joined a computer lab And I also played tennis to actually help me physically and emotionally so that I could break away from my shyness. But even though I wasn't given any testing accommodations at the time were lacking, my teachers provided me testing accommodations by giving me extra time to finish my examinations and to finish them well. But what really pivoted the whole thing with my education in high school and everything was something I watched in 1981, which was Cosmos, this 13 series in the early 80s on Carl Sagan and on astronomy. And his work, his vision of understanding how he articulated himself, how he spoke, how he dressed, how he made the words important, how he enunciated his words, things that I wanted to emulate in my own world. And it helped me to compensate for my own disability. And it pivoted me to learn and inspired me to work hard and to study super hard in order to go to school, to go to university. But in senior high school, in senior year, the experience of taking the SAT revealed just how different I was. And my test scores were attenuated my learning disability. And it was very discouraging at the time. And in college, what happened in college was I received a lot of special support at Santa Clara University, where I learned more about my coping skills to gradually improve. I actually took classes in guided writing 1 and 2, just to learn how to structure sentences correctly in paragraphs and essays and so forth. And all these was a gateway in my learning and getting 2 degrees, one in economics at Santa Clara University and the other one at Cal State East Bay in the biological sciences. But then it also pivoted me for another thing that's not in my profile, but I also wanted to become a doctor, a medical physician. And I decided to pursue medical school. But in the process of taking the MCAT in 1996, I didn't do very well. And I was given finally after all these things as an adult, a preliminary diagnosis of an auditory processing disorder by a group of distinguished UC Berkeley counselors. And I learned from that one hand that I had a very low score in reading comprehension and decoding, but at the same time, I had this extremely high score in visual and spatial processing. It was incredible. One extreme and another extreme. And that's where my brain was at the time. With additional support and accommodation, I was able to retake the MCAT again, and I did better. And that led me to Georgetown University in 1999, where I was in a post-bachelor program for the Georgetown Experimental Medical Studies program, where I learned more skills on how to develop my stuff. And at that place, I finally got my diagnosis. I was diagnosed finally as an adult with a learning disability, with dyslexia and dysgraphia, an extreme form of it actually. And finally, I was able to have the support I needed and the right equipment that I needed. So at that time, at Georgetown, I was given the opportunity to utilize the Kurzweil 3000, which many of us use for our reading processings. I was able to read my essays, my books on tape. I excelled in the post-baccalaureate program at Georgetown University. And then that led me to go to the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health. And even though I completed my preclinical courses there, I was not able to pass the United States Medical Licensing Exam Step 1, because at that time, the board would only give accommodations if I was diagnosed as a child. So that's the whole reason why I was explaining the whole process of how I got to become an adult. So as an adult, I was diagnosed, but as a child, I wasn't. And unfortunately, I had to take the exams without testing accommodations, and I did not, was not successful. But regardless, I pivoted to a technology career, which eventually led me to the CalPERS board and to serve as a public servant for our organization and for the 2.2 million persons that I serve on the board. Now I want to just pivot a little bit more about CalPERS and what we're doing at CalPERS. You know, one of the things that I'm very proud of at the board is our commitment to an inclusive work environment. Through our DEI initiatives and accessibility policies, we welcome team members up with all abilities to join our team. These policies are expressed in the CalPERS DEI framework, which integrates our initiatives across the organization and to support our inclusive business practices and enhance performances that ultimately support our mission to the members. In summary, I have to say that my dyslexia has had other effects on my abilities. You know, the limited reading skills led to a lot of poor vocabulary, which led to a lot of poor speaking and social skills, which was at a disadvantage as a child until I received the help I needed through all the services, through the public sector services, through public education, through the university, through UC Berkeley, everywhere that I went. Santa Clara University changed my whole life, and the skills that I gained there gave me the social confidence to help me by volunteering with kids at Alviso Elementary School at Santa Clara, California. It was my first volunteer position when I was 18 years old. And even though I have all these differences, I embrace them. I embrace them wholeheartedly. I honor them and I appreciate them for what they have given me. So I also want others to know that they are not alone, that there are many, many others who have had to deal with similar challenges but they are hesitant to talk about their differences. I understand how different they feel and how they think they're not smart or they don't really know what to do. But it's not true at all. There are coping skills and great resources from the state of California and all our resources and all our brothers and sisters out there that can help out there. They're there to help us. And I became family with a community of good people that I met along the way, and they have been helping me all along. With that ongoing support, I continue to strive to work hard and to strive to serve others through my career, through my public service, because I am a devoted public servant for the community that I serve on the CalPERS board. I am a devoted, esteemed, a devoted colleague on my board with my distinguished colleagues, and as well as everyone else. Now, before I close, I want to spend a few minutes talking about your CalPERS benefits and ensure that your board is looking out for your best interests. What we do there is by keeping a close watch on our investment strategies and our healthcare programs. It takes a careful strategy led by an experienced team to deliver on our mission. Fortunately, we have a great Mr. Gilmore to lead as our new CIO, our new Chief Investment Officer. Mr. Gilmore joined us in July with a strong record of success and international experience. Not only is he an experienced investor, he is also a leader with a clear sense of how member-focused organizations like CalPERS works. Mr. Gilmore's fresh perspective will be of a great value to us next year as we go through what's called our asset liability management process. This is a review we conduct every 4 years to determine if we have the right mix of assets in the portfolio and whether our target rate of return is appropriately set. The goal is to ensure that we have the best position to pay member benefits for the long term. I also want to mention our health care, an important part of the work that CalPERS does. And the key takeaway for our healthcare program is that our teams are continuously focused on improving the quality of the services you receive. They strive to contain costs as much as possible and to ensure that members have access to equitable care where they live. And finally, I want to make sure that you are all aware of the two forms that are dear to me especially, and that is the CalPERS Special Power of Attorney form that helps ensure that our benefits will continue if you are no longer able to manage them yourself. And the second form is the lump sum beneficiary designation form. It identifies who will receive your benefits and when you pass. Not an uplifting topic, I know, but a very important and very important topic for those who we leave behind. You can access both those forms online through your My CalPERS account. And finally, in closing, I want to reiterate the team that the team at the CalPERS is very, very dedicated to the mission of serving our members, our 2.2 million public servant members. And the board is deeply committed to making decisions in the best interest of all our members and all our stakeholders and in the system. Please feel free to contact me by email with any questions or concerns. I will also put in my cell number from CalPERS if you ever want to give me a call. And not only that, but also to call me about if you have any questions about dyslexia or about dysgraphia. I want to share my story because as we had heard earlier from our deputy scheduler of the governor, there are so many opportunities to serve on boards and on commissions, and don't let a disability or dyslexia or dysgraphia prevent you from doing that. It is possible with the resources out there, with the support of good people like this organization, with Mr. Duda and with everyone else. We are all here to help each other. We are a family, a good family that we want to be. And I see it all the time. I see the love and the support all the time for good people helping each other. So thank you so much for the honor, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. And I'm open for any questions if you want.
Yes, Mr. Pacheco, that was, again, very informative and always quite inspirational. Your personal journey and your story and the courage and the ability to share is just quite profound.
Thank you.
And I got a comment here. Thank you for sharing your story. It's amazing to hear someone in a leadership role who isn't afraid to speak about the challenges that people with disabilities face in school and in workforce. Really enjoyed hearing about how accommodation helped you succeed,
Yes.
as this is something relevant to state work as well. Thank you for the advocacy. CalPERS Board is lucky to have you. So that's a common theme that I have been hearing about. My question to you is, you talked about the resources that are available within the state and resources available elsewhere. What kind of resources would you refer people with conditions such as the one you faced?
I would go to the resources that are through our state. For instance, the Kurzweil 3000. That is it's a very good computer program. I actually have now asked staff to help implement that program in my board reading material. So I've been trying to read my material, as you may know, and as they alluded to earlier. On boards, you read hundreds and hundreds of pages of material. And what I do is when I get my material, which is usually about 2 weeks before the board meeting begins, I set a calendar for myself to start pacing, because I know it's going to take me a long time to read the material. But I've been trying to read it without the machine, without the accommodation, because I have to convert it on my computer, and we have security issues with different computers. So I can't use my own personal computer that has the Kurzweil 3000. I have to use the state's computer. So finally, I was able to implement the process of getting get the Kurzweil 3000. But moreover, I also asked staff to help me with testing accommodations. So I have to go through trainings with the CalPERS board, and they have provided me testing accommodations to take my examinations with double time, with a quiet room, and that has been helpful. Working with the agencies, working with the HR departments and our own groups, they are there. The interactive process works, and I encourage everyone to utilize it to the extent of the law.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that you had such success with the interactive process and you got the accommodation that you needed, and consequently, you're quite a success story. So thank you again for sharing. You also mentioned that the CalPERS, you mentioned Mr. Gilmore as a chief investment officer, and the focus on the ability to invest money in DEI and equity related program. Specifically, what type of equity considerations are given when an investment tool is being considered that specifically has some impact on person with disabilities?
That's a really good question, Mr. Duda. I would need to do more research on that because I don't really have the answer to that specifically. But I do know that we do have a broad DEI policy in place in our investment office to address the asset classes in a more global perspective, and we are implementing those policies in our asset classes. So I could follow up with you on that, but I think that's an excellent question.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And again, do we have any other question for Mr. Pacheco here? He, again, was generous enough to share his great story of courage and resources that he utilized. If you have any questions for him, please unmute and ask him now. We have a minute or so left. I did promise him that we won't take more time than it's needed. So here is your opportunity. If nothing further is asked of Mr. Pacheco, I'm going to say goodbye to him with gratitude. And sir, you're welcome to stay on and listen in or participate in the rest of the SDAC meeting. We're quite thankful that you were able to come here and share your story.
Thank you, Mr. Duda, and thank you everyone for allowing me the opportunity to be here. Again, it's a privilege to be with a group of distinguished persons here, and to allow me the opportunity to share my story. It's a story of it's my personal story, but I hope I inspire others to rise up and to be leaders in whatever field they may be, and I'm here to help. Again, I'll provide my cell number, CalPERS cell number, and email in the chat if anyone wants to reach out to me.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have yourself a fantastic day.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, that was Mr. Luis Pacheco, and that was, again, very informative presentation from CalPERS Board.